All right, ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you Tyler Brennan. He's here to respond to some of the accusations that have been made against him. Tyler, you mentioned to me in some messages that we've exchanged over the past few days that the facts are very important. So let's get the initial facts out of the way, which are: did you hold shipments of Rotor Riot stock?
No.
You didn't. So you
Nope.
never told your team to not ship Rotor Riot stock.
I did.
You did. Okay. Did you do that during a time when you were attempting to negotiate better terms with Chad Capper?
I did it when we were both negotiating with each other. Yep.
Right, but the point being is that you use that, or were potentially using that, as leverage in those negotiations.
I wouldn't say it was leverage, it was pressure.
Pressure. Okay. Now you admit to that in the YouTube comments that you left quite a few of. Now I know that there's two sides to every story, and I know that the relationship between you and the Rotor Riot folks was not easy. You admitted that there were some deficits and problems with the contract that you guys initially set up. So what, I guess here's my question. Is it a valid and honorable tactic to hold stock as a negotiating tactic when you're in the middle of a negotiation and you know that you've got them by the balls?
Well, that would depend on how is the deal structured, what is the context of all this happening, what are the reasons for it happening. It would depend on those things.
Okay. So, let's assume, or let's not assume for a minute. Let's ask a question again. Had Rotor Riot or Chad, I guess it's Chad Capper that you were involved with at this point, had he done things aggressively towards you to make you retaliate?
I mean, aggressive is subjective. I don't know how to answer that. I don't know really why I'm kind of feel like I'm on trial here, to be honest with you, Mike. Like, you're asking harder questions to me than you've asked to literally anybody ever, which is fine. I'm happy to, but I mean, we're kind of jumping into the questions without ever framing anything, which is fine. But people can take it out of context and hear what they want to hear when there's always a background to everything.
Sure. So what's the background?
Well, first, this was a thing between Chad and I. It was always intended to be. Nobody really knew anything about it other than Chad and I. Even Drew didn't really know much, David at the time knew barely anything. The companies knew that, Tyler's a little upset with Chad. I don't know if Chad was upset with me, but no, I mean, the background is that I don't want to speak for Chad, but it's probably fair to say that him and I both rushed the deal. And we, at least I, failed to ensure that, first of all, when we were saying the same words, we meant the same thing. And when we put something on paper, that matched what each person's intent was. And everything was good for the first probably month, it ran how I expected it to run. And then
what were your expectations?
I mean, essentially it was that this isn't really, I don't really feel that this would be appropriate to talk about. I mean, my expectations were different than Chad's.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all you really need to know. And that the contract was different than my expectations, and it was different than Chad's expectations.
Mm-hmm.
But that really is, I mean, it's between Chad and I, and you never saw this explode. I was frustrated, invested a lot of money. He was frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
You never saw it come out on YouTube or Facebook or, you know, anything. We handled it like men. We handled it together. Yeah, I pressured him. He pressured me. Okay, but at the end of the day, I own the inventory. I own the warehouse. I paid the employees that shipped it out. There was nothing in the contract stating that I had to ship out product for them and then give them all the money for it, which was what was happening. Now that was, I mean, that's pretty much all you need to know, really. Like anything else is really kind of irrelevant. And it's not this coming on to discuss this. I've already discussed this in the comments.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that's asked me has already gotten an answer. The same answer that I just told you. And it's not at all my intent to air laundry or talk about private dealings on YouTube, even though I fear that I just did. It's just, I came on to talk about the culture that we're trying to create within FPV. Mm-hmm. That's what I came on to talk about. What happened between Chad and I and how we finally arrived to a deal. I mean, does that matter? I don't think so.
Well, I think the thing that matters here is that you were upset, you were frustrated, and you kind of came out with guns blazing. I mean, that you were all over the comments, correcting people, telling them there were two sides of the story. Certainly there is. So I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about it, but I also wanted to start with the facts, which you seemed to feel were very relevant when we first started discussing this. So what kind of FPV culture are you trying to create?
I think we already have a darn good culture. It's the culture online that is damaging to the sport. Mm-hmm. And it's one that I think is not only in FPV, but it's across the news cycle. It's across America. Anytime you get online, on TV, whatever the case is, things just kind of get nasty. And at the end of the day, we're all just playing with toys. Like, yeah, there's business aspects of it, but 99% of it is handled in private, as it should be. Like, business can be nasty. It's just how it goes, Like, I lost a sickening amount of money, or I don't want to say lost. I invested a lot of money into Rotor Riot, mm-hmm. and I came away with 10%. You don't see me freaking out about that. Why? Because it's business. Like, that's how it goes, and it shouldn't be something that creates drama. And I'm sure, like, Chad and I are going to look at this and be like, well, it's unfortunate that got out, Like, and the next time we create a contract, it'll be better. But I just don't see how it is a positive thing for us to willingly create drama about it. That's what I'm going at. And you asked the right questions to me. You asked the tough questions. I wish we could have framed it before we talked about the questions, but that's okay. You didn't ask those to Derek, right? When he was saying these things, you didn't ask, well, Derek, how much did you know about it?
Actually, I had previous understandings of some of this. I had previous hintings that it was going on. Now, when Derek came on, it wasn't that we were. He never told me that was going to come out. I don't even know that he knew that was going to come out. I certainly am tired of the drama as well, but despite what people may think, because, there was the Kevin video, which created a bunch of drama. I didn't handle that well. This one has created a small amount of drama. I don't think it's created a huge amount, to be quite honest. I am just trying to interview people to let them tell their stories. And I don't control those stories. And I think that you really focused in on one very specific thing about the hour and plus long video interview that we had, which the third part will air tomorrow. Tomorrow. And I really felt like you were upset because you felt like you lost control of the narrative. Was it positive to you? No. Did it paint you in a bad light? Yeah, it did. Is that the end of the world? No. You're so many things, so many ways we can be painted in a bad light, and eventually it just goes away. I think I agree that there's a lot of drama in this industry. There's a lot of drama in the way that people handle the ins and outs of it. I have unfortunately stumbled on quite a bit of that. It's not, it's never been my intent to hurt Rotor Riot or to hurt you or to hurt anybody. I really just ask people questions and they answer. Should I not then put that out? I don't know. That's a philosophical question I haven't answered yet. How do you see, or what do you see that we could do to heal the FPV community? Because there's fractures everywhere. It's like there's fractures between you and Sergey, and between Chad and Trappy, and everywhere you look, somebody has a beef with somebody else, and all those beefs, it's like tribal warfare, right? It's like we've just been fighting with these people because we've been fighting with them forever. So how do you see that we could heal that?
So I've tried my absolute best to heal relationships with everyone everyone that doesn't like me, that I know of, that is in the business.
Sure.
I really truly feel that I've done that. Even when they ask me public questions about anything, I answer, but it never goes the other way. It never ever goes the other way. And you will never see me on the offensive. Ever. You just won't. I'm not on the offensive about the deal with Chad. I signed a contract. I didn't have a full understanding of the contract. I signed it. I lost $500,000 roughly because I didn't read a contract. I'm not mad at anyone about that. You don't see me making a Facebook post. That's my fault. Could I say, well, we said this and you said that and it didn't make anything? It's not a big deal. So, but what I'm saying is, people that do put it out there, you can't stop them. If company A is mad at company B and they go on and make a big rant about how terrible company B is, they're just going to do that. And if you're a big fan of company A, let's say, oh, well, company A makes a great frame, therefore, I believe everything company A says. Well, company B, I love their motors, I'm going to believe everything company B says. Oh, well, if company B doesn't like A, therefore I must not like company A as well. I never really understood that way of thinking. I think it's kind of human nature, unfortunately. But the easiest way to get through all of this quickly is to ask the right questions. When you see someone make a claim, so and so claimed or cloned me.
Mm-hmm.
What did they clone? Have you ever seen that question answered? I haven't. I've never seen them say, well, they cloned this chip, this software, whatever the case is. Never. And it's insane that we go, hey, bud, come on. We are at odds with each other over cloning. And nobody's ever said what was cloned. Because people aren't asking the right questions. They're not making us answer the right questions. That's my biggest thing. And if the questions would stop, if the questions would start, the drama would stop. Because if company A wants to go and attack company B, they better have actual proof. Come on, bud. They better be able to back it up. And that is enough to stop drama. So that's what I would challenge everyone. And you can, I made a post yesterday, late last night, so I guess earlier today, saying...
Which, by the way, congratulations on that.
Thanks. So I made a post saying, essentially I gave thanks to a bunch of people that deserved it, customers, employees, whatever. And the gist of the post was that RDQ is now the largest FPV retailer in the world. Right? And I said it was in orders per day. There were hundreds of people commenting, congratulations and great work, and I've been with you since day one. And I am extremely grateful for everyone that has supported us and cared enough to comment. Right? I mean, it's even still when I think about it, it's kind of breathtaking to me. I am still kind of at odds with myself about it. But then you had a couple people, and I love these people, saying, how did you come to that determination? And then I provided them with the info. I provided them with how I came to the determination. All you need is orders per day, or you need order numbers and you need dates, and then you can figure out orders per day. And if you track that over a long period of time, you can see sales patterns. And, does one sale work for one company, or does this sale work for another company, just by looking at that kind of stuff, right? And those people that are asking those questions, I love it. Absolutely love it. We need 1,000,000 times more of that, When someone says, I saw something nefarious, we need to ask, what is nefarious? We need to know. We should know, right? Because there are plenty of people that are not going to ask the question. They're just going to assume whatever is said to be fact. Whether I'm saying it, someone else is saying it, whoever. The people that are sticking around in the hobby, we need to ask the right questions of the people like myself, like Chad, like many others. We need to ask the right questions, and drama will end. That is my personal kind of how would I fix it? That's how I would fix it. How would you fix it?
I think, asking, here's the problem. The pointed questions, while viewed from a critical standpoint, are worthwhile. I happen to have, stood at the firing lines of a group of software engineers, as they ask me the pointed questions. And when you're face to face with someone, oftentimes you can interpret quite a bit from that question, where somebody might ask you a pointed question, but they're not you can realize from their facial expression or their body language, they're not out to get you, right? But when you take it to Facebook, which I think is the problem personally, when you take it to Facebook and someone asks a pointed question, there's no other tone to go with it. And so what you might interpret as, hey, that's a great question, I really appreciate that you asked it. Someone else may interpret as, wow, that guy's a real jerk for even asking that. That was like an awful question, right? There's just no way for us to convey, like, at the end of the day, we speak with imperfect words. And when we type on a keyboard, it's even more imperfect. And the thing that I've seen pop up over and over and over in my interviews are, when I got face to face with so-and-so, I realized that they were not the monster I thought they were. Right? And so I think, how do we end some of the drama in this hobby? Well, we get together. Case in point, I interviewed Mike Chin recently. Mike and I had a mild altercation on one of the Facebook groups. And when I approached him to interview him, because I thought he had an interesting story, he really thought I was out to get him. It totally, his responses to me were very suspicious. He was like, man, he thought I was on the Rotor Riot side and I was coming to get him. And when we had the interview, it turned into one of the loveliest interviews that I've had. Because, not only did I get to interview him about his work with TBS and his work with Heli Nation and with Tiny Whoop, but I got to talk to Aaron too. And I got to interview them together. It's the first time I've been able to do that. And it was a fun interview. And Mike afterwards told me, that he vouched for me with someone else, saying, yeah, this guy's all right. But it wasn't until he and I had that personal one-on-one interaction that we were able to connect and realize that, or, he was able to realize that I wasn't out to get him. Right. And so I think events like IO or the West Coast Throwdown or any of the racing events that we have, I think people should make an effort to get out to them, to meet the people that are behind the words. I've had Double A Aaron, who helps out at IO all the time, on my comments for forever. He's been a watcher on my YouTube channel for forever. I didn't put two and two together until I interviewed Chris Thomas and realized that this guy is a real awesome guy in the community. Right? All I had were his words to go by. So I think that part of the problem is that we've taken out the human element of the just contact with each other, which is part of the reason I try to do this. Because when you can see my face and I can see your face, there's a reality that comes back into it. Now, sometimes unpretty things come out. Sometimes things come out that are viewed through the lens of the person that's having the question asked of them, or it's the experience of the person that I'm interviewing, and it gets taken out of context, blown out of proportion, and that's unfortunate. But I can't take away from the experience that person had. I mean, that's their experience, right?
Absolutely.
So if I were to put forth an idea on how we heal this hobby, which I think would be good, quite honestly, because quite frankly, I've not enjoyed the last few days. I don't want to be at odds with you. I don't want to be on the receiving end of your frustration. I don't want you to have a bad day, quite frankly. And, when I did the Derek interview, I thought a lot about what I was putting out, because let's say that I put that out and it blows up and it hurts your sales, and as a result, you have to lay somebody off. Is that on me? Right? Like I really had to stop and ask those questions. And do I think that at the end of the day, this interview with Derek is going to hurt RDQ sales. No, I don't. I think that there's tried and true people that believe in RDQ and will continue to shop there. You didn't get to number one by happenstance. But Derek's experience was still Derek's experience. And Kevin's experience was Kevin's experience. And that unfortunately didn't really play well for some of the Rotor Riot guys. I know Drew took a lot of heat for that. It wasn't my intention.
And I just want to, I don't want to stop you. So we're just jumping around. I want to make sure I hit things while I'm thinking of it. I don't at all disagree with that. Not one bit do I disagree with that. Even in the comments, I said Derek's feelings are his feelings. You know, like if he didn't like working at RDQ, he didn't like it. You know, it's not for everyone. And I have like an onboarding phone call in a sense. With some people, hey guys, it's a awkward work environment. I'm remote. The business is remote. It's fast paced. We expect the job to be done very, very well. It's a work environment, you know. So I don't discount that at all. Where I think it's important that we distinguish is what are people's feelings versus what are people's aggressions or claims. For example, if just because I can't think of any other example right now, if Trappy said, I don't like FR Sky. No big deal, right? No big deal. If Trappy said, FR Sky are thieves, they stole X, Y, and Z thing, cloned it, and now are selling it to you. Now that's a totally different thing, right? Because how he feels is how he feels. And no one's going to look at that in a weird way. But when you start putting claims out there, it is everyone's duty to substantiate those if we're going to give weight to the words that are being said. It is nothing personal. And Mike, I have been your absolute biggest fan. You know that. I've up and down. I've complimented you. Up and down, right? And I try to watch as many of your interviews as I can because I think they're really good. Okay, and I even think I said it in the interview when I did it with you originally. Mike, this is what the community needs. This is exactly it, and I totally 100% agree. And this is a tough discussion that we're having, and you're a little frustrated. I'm a little frustrated, right? But hopefully, people watching can take valuable bits out of this and go and apply it the next time that they interact with somebody in FPV. That is literally all that I care about coming out of this. Some people are going to watch this and be like, Tyler's a total, dick. Fine. As long as you take something out of this, because at the end of the day, whether you think I'm a dick or you think I'm awesome or you think someone thinks that you're a dick or Mike, someone thinks that you're awesome, we're all in FPV together. Like, we are one team. Whether I sell something or Pyroflip sells something, it's an overall negative to the community if Pyroflip goes out of business. Because then I have nothing to compete against. And competition is where the consumer is going to benefit the most. The fact that we are at each other's necks at times is awesome for everybody else. Like, I lose a little money, he loses a little money because we're battling on, whatever product that we can make for the least amount, and you guys win, Anyways.
Not to mention the fact that if you run out of stock or Pyro runs out of stock, everybody knows they can just go to the other person.
Yeah, or get FPV or RMRC or Heli Nation. Let's not leave them out, right?
Sure.
I value them. I've said this up and down, and I don't know if they value me, but I value them so much. Like, I know their stores just as good as I know mine, because, like, that is what it is going to take for me to get better. And if I get better, somebody else gets better. And in the end, FPV wins. And yeah, I might come out at the end of the day with a good business. But that was never, ever the intent going into this. When I first started RDQ. Never, ever, So I've kind of rambled a little bit. But I guess my point was, there's a difference between feeling and there's a difference between a claim. A feeling doesn't create drama. A claim creates drama. Because a claim has to be defended. And a claim matters to people. This is my pup buddy, by the way.
Hey, how's he doing? What's his name?
Buddy.
Hi, Buddy.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So the claim here that I think we're hinting at is Derek's claim that you held Rotor Riot shipments in order to put pressure on the Rotor Riot team. And that didn't sit well with Derek. And we've already discussed at the beginning that that's in fact what was happening. So Derek didn't like that. It's okay with you. That's fine. Your sense of integrity and who you are and how you understand business, if that's how you want to do it, that's your choice. Derek, it didn't sit well with him. It's not how he would choose to do business. I don't think that that was the even deciding factor. I mean, we didn't really. I mean, out of everything that we talked about, that was just one very small segment. He was very complimentary to you for taking him on. And I think he honestly feels gratitude to you for the chance that you gave him. So, I hear what you're saying, that there's a claim. It turns out that the claim was substantiated. And now I can understand that reflects negatively on you in some people's eyes. And I mean, dude, all you got to do is go look through the comments. And half the people are like, oh, man, I'm never going to shop at RDQ again. And then the other half of people are like, what the hell does this matter? Right? Everybody sees it through a different lens. Did I or could I have asked more critical questions? Sure. I could have done that. I could have done that with Kevin. It would have done me better if I had. But the claims versus the feelings, I don't know that I buy that as an argument. Because a lot of times people are, I mean, like, you're a very logical individual. And I think that you are able to disentangle your feelings from fact, right? I don't know that is necessarily one of those things that is possessed innately by everybody. And so a lot of people, like you said earlier, they get into a camp and they just generate a feeling. And that feeling overrides. It's like, man, let's jump right into it. Republican versus Democrat, right? There's so many people that will write you off if you have an R by your name or if you have a D by your name. And they know nothing about you because the feelings that R or that D engenders overrides any sense of logic or any sense of discretion, right? And like my dad and I, we stand at opposite sides of the political spectrum. And I love him to death. And we have great conversations. But I know him, right? And people are not stopping to get to know the people on the other side. And I think that if you expect that everybody's going to divorce their feelings from fact, I think you'll be disappointed. If you encourage people to interact in a positive way, I think that it'll go better. And are you going to get people? I mean, look, then there's a whole other group of people that they're not here just for, they're not here just to fly. They're here to create the drama, right? I mean, there's a whole group that you know about and I know about that's dedicated to just shit posting as much as they can about Rotor Riot and Capper. those folks are a different story. I really don't understand or know what drives them. But I think that at the end of the day, I think that getting together face to face is what will do us all better.
Yeah, but Facebook isn't going away.
No, it's not. It's
So,
it's and it's unfortunate.
so that's my, Facebook is great because it allows all of us FPV people to connect.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is the platform we use is Facebook,
Mm-hmm.
So it's great on one side because if we didn't have that, there are absolutely people that never would have met each other. You never would have gotten to interview all these guys.
Right, absolutely.
So on and so forth, right? All because of Facebook.
Sure.
So it's about how do we use this platform in a responsible manner that benefits the sport. That's ultimately what it comes down to, right? And yes, absolutely, getting out there and shaking hands at the events and having these kind of interviews absolutely helps, no doubt about it. But that isn't a solution for the 99%. The 99%, I feel like there's a lot of people out there who say FPV is great, but damn, there's a lot of drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love flying the drones, but I'm stressed about who I buy my stuff from. What a silly, silly thing. And it is all completely manufactured. It's manufactured. And the reality is, as far as I'm concerned, is it's manufactured by business guys, honestly, for the most part. And everyone has kind of bought into it. And by separating the people, that is what is best for some of these businesses.
Sure.
I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a sales tactic. Period. Dot. End of story. It's a sales tactic. Because if guys go out, is everyone using the same analytics I'm using, the econometric analysis? Is everyone training their people as well? So on and so forth. This is how business evolves naturally.
Mm-hmm.
How it evolves unnaturally and kind of staggers forward awkwardly is, hey, let's divide everybody. And now it's very, very clear that I have my customer base and they're not going to leave me because I've gotten them to hate so-and-so.
You're loyalists.
Right. And that is, loyalists, if you look at like about 70% of my customers are returning customers every day. How many of those are buying because they love RDQ and they don't like somebody else? I hope that number is 0. Mm-hmm. I have done my absolute best to create an environment in the Race Day Quads group, within my store, everywhere where that is 0. I want to earn your business because I earn it, because I have the best support, because I have the right stuff in stock, because it's the best price you can find, because I'm bringing innovative products to the marketplace. That's why I want to earn your business. I don't want to earn your business because you don't like Surge or you don't like TBS or whoever.
By the way, it's Sergey.
Sergey.
Yeah, no, I called him Surge in the Derek interview, and then Derek called him Sergey, and I was like, oh, damn. Oh. It's Sergey. Oh, my God. Anyways, sorry. I just think that's funny that you and I and someone else in my comments made the same mistake.
God. All right, sorry, Sergey. If we would have gotten to meet before, we would have known that. If we got on the phone and we talked, how awesome would it be if myself, Sergey, Trappy, Tim Nilsson, Patrick from Helly Nation, we all got on the phone and talked about, hey, have you guys heard of RIP for Autism? Oh yeah, it's a great little thing. You guys should check it out. Oh hey, did so and so buy from you guys? Because that guy actually, that's a fraudulent order, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And they hop through all the shops and do all this. Hey, did you hear about so and so new technology? What's the word on that? Is it legit? How can I help you move it forward? Is it open source? Let's all pitch in. I bet. Do you remember like 2 years ago, roughly? I forget what initiated it, but suddenly we had a group chat that was like the group chat of all group chats. Me, Get FPV. I think Sergey was in there. Trappy was in there. Uh, all the beta flight devs were in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was all about creating some kind of. I'm trying to remember. I think it was like a uh, uh, a single software that would allow your VTX to talk to your camera, to talk to your flight controller, to talk to your ESCs, like
Mm-hmm.
a like
Smart
smart
audio.
audio,
Yeah.
like smart audio, but smart everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, we did it. We just cracked the code. Everybody is in here right now.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it fizzled out. But that
Mm-hmm.
was the only glimmer of hope I've ever seen of anything like this happening. And so I'm very like I took notes on the Derek thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want Derek obviously for one reason or another like is he biased because he currently works at Pyro? Did he really feel that way when he left? I don't know. He didn't tell me. I don't know. I'm gonna assume it's true. Like I took notes on all of it to see how can I improve, so on and so forth. Zero hard feelings with Derek.
Mm-hmm.
I wish him and I would have communicated more. I wish if he had a question, he would have just asked it to me. Um, you know, I wish when he said, "Hey man, do you have time for a call today?" And I'm looking at this at 11 o'clock. I'm finally getting to it before I go to bed. I wish I picked up
Mm-hmm.
the phone to him. Okay, right. So I'll take that forward and I'll learn from it. I have no hard feelings with him. I really, really don't. I had absolutely no intention of even talking about him at all. I want to use this as an opportunity to have a hard but needed discussion about how do we improve the culture of FPV, you know? And I'm sure the ideas that what you and I can come up with probably won't work. But if we can start the conversation, that's what I care about, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I care about. So,
Let me offer you an opportunity. Um, you've looked critically at what I do. You've seen some of the things play out, I'm sure. What is one thing I could do better to foster the community?
honestly, if I
Mm-hmm.
were you, before I ever had anyone on the show,
Mm-hmm.
I would say, look, man, I don't want you mentioning anybody else. I don't want you bringing anyone else down. I want this to be a positive show that uplifts the community. And if you don't have something nice to say about somebody else, this is not the forum to put it out there.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I would do.
I want to leave us on, maybe not leave us, but there's one other thing I want to talk about, which is, um, there's the regular, most of us regular guys, and I consider myself in that, even though I've got a little bit of a following now. That, like, we're part of the camps, right? We're part of the loyalists. You're loyal to Rotor Riot or RDQ or Pyroflip or whoever. Heli Nation. There's a ton of people. Personally, I just like to order from everybody when I need to order, but that's beside the point. There's also the aspect, though, that the leaders in the community are all men, almost all men. There's a few leaders that are women. Jennifer Minas, I don't know how you pronounce her last name, comes to mind. But without fail, all of them are people of great ego. And it's been interesting witnessing. I talked to Trappy, and you can see his persona come through, his confidence, right? I talked to you, and your confidence that you're charting the right path comes through. And you talk to Capper, and Capper makes you feel really good about yourself, and then the confidence comes through, right? Sergey, I've never had a conversation with besides like on Messenger, so I don't know how his personal, aura is, whatever you want to call it.
He's awesome. He's awesome.
Okay, I mean, all of the reports are that he's got this great, I think his Armenian accent, and super
Yeah.
fun to talk to.
Yes. Great. Really, really good guy. Sergey and I used to talk daily before I got too big. A great guy. Great guy.
I would say this: if all and you hit on it, and I'll say it again. If all of you could suppress your egos for just a moment and sit in the same room together, I think that it would benefit this hobby, from the top. And I don't think anybody, certainly, there's rabble rousers amongst all of the top. People take delight sometimes in watching their competitors stumble. And you find that all over the place, whether it's encouraged or just passively accepted. That happens a lot. But I would counsel not just you, but Trappy, Sergey, everybody, to approach each other with humility. And if you guys could get in the same room, I think it would be amazing. I think it would be good for the hobby. It would take a lot of effort for each of you to do that.
Mike, it would take no effort for me. Tell me where and when. I'll fly myself there. I will fly them there. Wherever they are in the world. Okay? Trappy, Sergey, Tim Nelson, Patrick. All these guys. If you want, let's all go have a boys' weekend and fly together or do something. I think that would be awesome, and I will pay for everyone's plane ticket. I'll put them all up in a hotel. I will cover the whole shebang, because that would be awesome. It would come from the top down. Everything, a lot of things come from the top down. Like, what's the culture within America? How does our president talk?
Sure.
It's roughly the same thing. And let me tell you what, if we can get all of these guys that have been at odds at each other and that have a lot of money at stake, let's not forget that. There's a lot of money at stake.
There is.
If my reputation goes in the garbage, I'm laying people off. The college fund I've started for my kids that don't exist yet,
goes away.
My deal, right? There's a lot of money at stake. There's been a lot of harsh words. If we could get everyone in a room together, my friend, FPV just became the most valuable thing in the history of the world, because somehow, somewhere, we cracked a code that mankind hasn't solved yet. That's how like rare I think that would be for that to happen. It would be awesome.
I agree.
I think it would be awesome, and maybe they don't think I feel that, like, okay, if maybe my ego came out, maybe it did. I really try for it to not, but maybe it did when the offer is real. I'll fly everyone out. I'll put them up. Let's spend a weekend together and talk about, I don't give a shit what sale you're doing, or that you broke map 5 months ago, or that one time you did this one thing and it hurt my feelings. I don't care. Let's talk about FPV. That would be awesome. That really would be awesome. Do I think it'll happen? No.
I don't either. I wish it would.
The reason I don't think it'll happen, sorry to cut you off.
Very good.
The reason I don't think it'll happen is exactly what I talked about before. whether people admit it or not, divisions within FPV, in my opinion, are manufactured. They're profitable for a lot of people. Drama is profitable. Let's just say it what it is. When there is drama, when Derek's video came out, clear spike in my sales. Clear spike. And everyone in the comments was pissed. Derek was unhappy. I had people messaging me, yo, dude, you're a in sales.
Right.
And it happens every single time there is drama. Every single time. I would seriously doubt that I'm the only person that happens to.
Oh, I have no doubt that happens all the time.
Right. And so we've kind of incentivized bad behavior because we're paying people for it. You know, like if it comes down to that, like all I need to do is just stir up some shit on Facebook and voila, best day of sales of the month. That's reality. That's reality. So how do people stop that? Because as much as I would love to talk to everyone, it's an awesome idea. I don't think it'll happen. I think the only way we stop it is by coming together, exactly like you said. But the reality is Facebook is still going to exist, and not everyone's going to be able to come together. I think we just got to ask the right questions. I think it comes down to that. When someone says some bullshit, call them out on it, including me. And just to be clear, I never, ever denied what Derek said. Never said that.
Oh, I know.
All I said was Derek had like 10% of the story. The other 90% was going to be with Chad and I to our graves until now. Because there's no benefit in this getting out. Absolutely none, right? You and I talked about it before we started recording. For this to come out in he said, she said, let's battle on YouTube videos, there's no benefit in that. Absolutely not. You know? Absolutely not. So that was my whole thing.
Let's leave it at that. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for being gracious. I appreciate your ideas and what you do. And I not only congratulations on number 1, but congratulations on the engagement too.
Thanks.
I think it looks like you found yourself a good woman. That's an important thing. I, for one, will do what I can to reduce the trauma. Because God knows I'm tired of being in the middle of it. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
I appreciate you, Mike. Thanks for asking the hard questions. Just,
you're part of a special crew now.
That you've asked hard questions to?
I mean, there've been a few of them that I've asked really hard questions to. You're one of them.
Good. So, I hope it continues.
It will.
Right? Because it's good that people see this. If people can see how I answer a difficult question, do I answer a difficult question? That's valuable. And it's valuable. So,
all right.
So thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been watching an adjunct episode of The Michael Rollins Show with Tyler Brennan. Thank you for coming on, Tyler. And with that, we will close it out.